give their two other 1v1 players some cushion to take the pressure off as we go into those later sets.
And I think that cushion is really, really important because on paper, it does feel like SK might have a slight advantage when it comes to head-to-head play. But here we are, Misfits Gaming with the first round bye going 3-1 on the season. Air Surfer, Dippets, Trainer Dippets, Dip, whatever you want to call them, Razor and Wings, the all-star lineup here from Misfits who have an incredible season. They've gone to King of the Hill twice, but in those King of the Hills, you know, Air Surfer and Wings have brought it home very, very easily, whether it was against Pain or against SK, who was their match opening.
And on the other side, you have SK Gaming, the defending Western champions, looking to make a repeat of it. Morton and Sam, the 2v2 duo. Sergio Ramos, the CCGS world champion, and Javi Catorze, who's been forced to carry so many times in the past, now with a team that everyone can come out and get big-time hits. This is a dangerous roster, and Andrew, if I'm Space Station Gaming, I'm really not sure which one of these two I want to face in the finals.
Yeah, you know, that's a really strong point you make, and maybe just because of experience you lean towards Misfits, but with what everyone on that squad has done, I agree. It's a coin toss there. I'm sure Space Station Gaming is going to have their hands full regardless. Here we go. Going to have their hands full regardless. Here we go. Misfits coming out with Razor and Dip with the Band of Tornado. SK Gaming, Morton and Sam. So this is right back to match day 1 for these guys, where Razor and Dip beat Morton and Sam 2-1. Except for this time, we got one Band of Tornado, one Band of Giant Skeleton, which means we will most definitely see some bait in this set.
Let's go ahead and jump into game number 1 of the 2v2. Sam and Morton for SK Gaming at the top of your screen. Misfits, Razor, and Dip at the bottom.
This is match 2 of our semifinals.
Morton and Sam have really been the 2v2 duo for SK Gaming since Sam joined them in the 2019 season after his time, or actually since Sam joined them after his time over with TSM, and they've just been an inseparable duo. They're not just a good teammates, they're very good friends, and you can tell how much they enjoy playing Clash Royale.
Yeah, and what I really love about this squad in SK is what they did in matches 3 and 4 this season. You know, you talk about Sam and Morton being together for as long as you can remember, and that's totally true, but for some reason at the beginning of the season, it just wasn't working. And the ability to adjust, nice zap there, the ability to adjust and move Morton into 1v1, Javi into 2v2, and pick up those 2 wins in a row is one of the most impressive things about SK Gaming.
Giants are going to be Skeleton Barrel Miner for Razor and Dip, and so far has a lot of pieces of balloon coming out from Morton and Sam. First minute and a half passing by, and not a ton of damage either way. SK slightly behind Razor and Dip, and here you go. Miner, Lumberjack, Balloon, and they're the Royal Recruits.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that earlier today. There they are once again with the increase in Fishermen. The Recruits are back in 2v2.
It's interesting to note here, Andrew, is this is not a situation, though, where their opponents appear to be running Fishermen. So you pull it out specifically most likely for one card and turns out not to be there.
Yeah, and if you guys remember, increase in Poison, increase in Meganite, decrease in P.E.K.K.A., increase in Mini P.E.K.K.A., all these things kind of happened when the Royal Recruits surged into the 2v2 meta. So we'll see over this match, and then, of course, next week, what happens.
Lumberloon push left-hand side. Miner goes to the back, not to the Musketeer, so Muskie will get plenty of damage on that Balloon, but a Heal Spirit rages it up. Balloon will get death damage. No, a nice clutch snowball. No, doesn't save it. Death damage comes in for Sam and Morton down to 899 left-hand side. They take back the lead.
Yeah, and that death damage was absolutely huge. They're 899 remaining. Miner goes to the top right-hand side to even things up and actually give the lead back to Misfits, Trainer, Dip, and Razor.
Notice how aggressive they've been with these recruits, playing them very high every time.
Oh.
Double balloon push left-hand side. Lumberjack in. Miner goes to the Musketeer in front. I don't think there's any way to stop this. The question now is, can Razor and Dip get that damage back on the right-hand side? 123. They got to throw at least one more spell in there.
Logs in.
Will just send us into a two-tower game.
I'm shocked that they just allowed that Lumberjack to run right on through to the left-hand side and get those hits in on the tower, but the double balloon drop, maybe they recognized that there was no way to stop it. Get that damage on the left-hand side and stay in this game was the idea for Misfits.
Well, you know, maybe they felt like, hey, we have the damage lead on the left-hand side, as you can see, and they knew they could force a two-tower game. Why not do it when you know you currently are ahead in 2 towers?
Yeah, and you talk about minor poison. That kind of play here is going to succeed in a 2-tower game. It's going to be very hard to pick up every single one of those minors. Plus, when you throw in a minor plus poison, it becomes even more exponential damage.
A lot of value for the heal spirits for SK Gaming so far. They did a good job of playing them opportunistically. This one doesn't do it, though.
And a very nice rocket to clean up everything on the bottom of the map. I didn't think that they were going to have a response to the 2 lumberjacks and the balloon, but the rocket comes out just in time.
Miner comes in, poison getting some chip damage left-hand side. Right now, Razor and Dip in a good spot here. They can pretty easily cycle this out, have to play against this one big defensive push. If they can defend this, they should have it locked, but the big question is, can they defend it?
Snowball's in, freezes in, Rocket's not back in cycle, it's not going to get there in time. Bats with their balloon drop.
Oh my god, they steal it by 144!
What a play! The Rocket, the 4-second flight gets there. Woo!
Game number 2. It's only game 2,
I know.
by the way.
I know. I'm sweating.
Here we go. Sam and Morton again, top of your screen. Razor and Dip at the bottom. Bands are still on the screen. You can see Tornado and Giant Skeleton. And this time, Sam and Morton choose to go to the skies, opening up with Lava Hound in the corner.
Yeah, you know, Lava Hound is one of the archetypes that struggles the most with Giant Skeleton because the lava will always make its way on through and everything else gets stopped at the river and killed by that Giant Death Bomb. So here we go, going to something that we saw very similar to Space Station Gaming in game number 1. It's going to be this Lava Lightning Dragon deck from SK.
And you see the Lightning taking care of the Musketeer as well as hurting that Barbarian Hut. Gets some good value. 1867 on the right-hand side. SK so far not damaged. Double Baby Dragon's Graveyard push coming in.
Graveyard in. Easy poison to clean things up with that high Inferno Dragon. Inferno Dragon's going to get tanked for by this Brawler as it crosses the river.
Heal Spirit to give that Inferno Dragon and Brawler a little bit of extra life.
Yeah.
So gonna force out, for 1 elixir, force out some more responses here from Misfits.
Here we should go. Should get just a little bit of sizzle on one of these barbs, but does a great job, Misfits, in protecting and preserving the health of their Barbarian Hut.
Yeah, 1 elixir to preserve from SK, and then 1 elixir in response from the Skeletons. So a little trickery kind of coming in from Morton and Sam, easily dealt with by Razor and Dip.
So here we go, Razor and Dip back on the offense. Left-hand side now this time. No poison in cycle, so should get a little bit of damage from these Skeletons.
Baby Dragon Goblin Hut up to the task, 2132 left-hand side. 10 seconds away from double elixir time, and so far it is SK Gaming with a not insignificant lead here, 1597 on the right-hand side at 2132.
Yeah, you know, the Lava Hounds just keep kind of hanging out on those towers, and maybe needing to focus a little bit more DPS on them is going to be Razor and Dip, because you know they're going to be more supported here in double elixir.
Sam and Morton are both long-time playoff standouts, and you know, you go to Morton's side with SK Gaming, 2nd place in CRL EU, 2nd place in the West in 2019, a Liquid 1st place in the fall season. Sam also has a pretty strong playoff record, of course, those 2 SK seasons, but don't forget Season 1 coming halfway through late to TSM, where he, Vulcan, Firewolf, and Air Surfer all went down to got to number 3 in the North American region.
Yeah, that was an incredible performance by Sam. That's where we coined the nickname the Mad Scientist, because the decks that he was running that season kind of blew our mind. So here we go, Lava Hound again, bottom right-hand side of your screen. This has kind of been the story of the day. It's just Lava Hound hanging out on the tower, gets support from the Lightning. Miner in on the tower. There's no way to defend all this, it appears, from SK Gaming, but a Royal Delivery has something to say.
Yeah, the freeze, that's one of those defensive freezes that worked out really, really well, although you have almost wireless. Still some more connection issues over for you. SK Gaming is calling a timeout here to prepare for game number 3. It's rare you see a timeout used this early in a match, but SK going ahead and want to take an extra minute
to close things out. So this is going to be some of the final moments of the game, and you know, just look at the way that Sam and Morton dealt with the defense time and time again.
Yeah, it was just very difficult for Razor and Dip to break through, and part of that was that they had to open
Misfits, bottom of your screen.
Heal Spirit cycles to the right-hand side to open things up, and Barb Hut down for Razor and Dip. It's interesting to see the Barb Hut really wasn't around much until very, very recently. You know, it had its heyday when all the huts and the barbs in particular were a little bit stronger, and now it seems to be coming back.
Yeah, there was a moment there with the Elixir Golem, but then it kind of stopped, and then here it is, just supporting a lot of graveyards usually.
And there you go, Graveyard in early and fast from Misfits. And they're going to get a good chunk here between that Baby Dragon and the Graveyard and the Poison.
Yeah, that is a lot.
They're going to get a lot of value.
A lot of value, 0 counter push, 1,500 damage in. Great opening for Misfits.
And still pretty even, ahead by 2 Elixir overall on HP, it seems. You can see the hand of Razor there is currently at 7 compared to everybody else, now at 8, so about Elixir and a half advantage. So they go aggressive, take a huge chunk out to open up, and still come out slightly ahead on Elixir.
So funny, when you said you could see the hand of Razor there, I had PTSD of hands going up during technical issues, or when players would dispute something, and I looked at my screen for it, and I was like, no, Drew, calm down.
Here we go, Dark Prince picked up by the Lumberjack, opposite direction, 2 Baby Dragons down for SK Gaming. Heal Spirit will give that Lumberjack some extra life, and this is a nice counter push coming out. Royal Giant with 2 Baby Dragons behind. Is there enough for the Lightning, and will they play it?
Yeah, that double Baby Dragon raged up, does so much damage. The Lightning does come in, RG gets a couple shots in, and Sam and Morton even things up just a bit, and they have the healthier Baby Dragon taking for the weaker, so it must be responded to.
Dark Prince comes out, 1265 to 1049, a little bit over 200 HP separating these two as we go into double Elixir time. This has been a back and forth haymaker kind of battle.
Yeah, and you know, Sam and Morton have been doing a very good job of dealing with these graveyards in the sense of not having the spell power, but having the unit splash damage to deal with it. But the problem is it's never guaranteed, and those Baby Dragons aren't going to hit those 100% of skeletons every time.
Lumberjack gets across. Heal Spirit for the Baby Dragons will keep them all alive a little bit longer. And
that's a lot of health that those Baby Dragons recover, and they are basically back to 100%. Another Lightning comes in, and Misfits, Razor, and Dip are just painted in a horrible corner that they cannot seem to get out of.
Need to find some way to deal with this aerial attack, but they can't seem to keep their aerial defense cards. I mean, it's Baby Dragon and Musketeer and the Mega Minion. They can't seem to keep them on the board right now. Notice we still haven't seen 3 of the cards out of Razor and Dip. There we go. So Dip does play his Graveyard now, hoping to steal this one. But the Skelly Dragons get some splash damage on tower. That should be it here.
The freeze is in! The freeze is in! 66 damage remains! Wow, that for a second looked like SK might slip through their fingers.
Wow, that got so close to
the hill. He does like to be earlier in the lineup. It doesn't have to be first, doesn't have to be last, but he just seems to like to be earlier on. So here we go. Misfits is going to come out with Wings. SK Gaming is going to come out with Sam, and you know what, Rich? This is the exact same matchup we saw in their first match.
Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Sam versus Wings. Gonna have OP Sam top of your screen, Wings at the bottom. Gotta love this best of 5 format to see so many fun matchups.
Yeah, that's really what it is. You know, you did a great job of putting together BO5s that weren't at CRL, but now with this BO5 format here in playoffs, it's just so great to see some of these matchups that you would never see in the regular season.
Yeah, talking about Sam, has only played one 1v1 set since his opening season with TSM. You know, hasn't been in the 1v1 very often overall throughout his CRL career since that time with TSM. Wings as well hasn't played in a 1v1 set since the 2019 spring season, so it's fun to see these guys come out for a BO3.
So it looks like Wings here going Goblin Giant double Prince with a little bit of bait.
Well, we'll see if what kind of spell situation he has coming out. And on the other side of it, Sam, you see the Valk, you see the Archers, you see the Inferno Dragon. Have an idea he might be going something that's rising up from the dead, potentially.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It seems a little crazy. So there you go.
There you go. Graveyard does come out.
Well-placed Dark Prince just in front of that tower to prevent the splash damage from the Valkyrie, and close enough to turn around immediately and help out with these skeletons. So really nice play there by Wings, very efficient play.
Final 15 seconds of single elixir time, and No one's done any significant damage. Snowball will not prevent that connection. 21-22 to the left-hand side, and with that, Wings has the lead as we go into double.
Yeah, Sam had to pull the trigger on that snowball there, knowing he's going to take a little bit of damage, but couldn't commit more elixir because he was already down a couple.
Wings started his CRL career with Cloud9 and CRL North America with a team that had high hopes, but wasn't quite able to meet them, and then has been with Misfits, and they've struggled. You know, throughout that career with Misfits, that Cloud9 team, most of it kind of moved along to this new roster, but it seems finally that Wings is surrounded by a team that is motivated, has a great outlook on the game, and this is his first real shot at making his way deep into the playoffs and potentially into the finals.
Yeah, and you know, it's really also about a team that surrounded him with people that let him succeed. You know, it felt like he was having to do too much in the past in his prior squads, and almost too much was placed on his shoulders when, you know, it's clear that Wings is a great King of the Hill player, and there's going to be King of the Hill sets. Let's let him succeed there.
Dark Prince connects again. That's been the big winner here for Wings so far in this 1v1 game. We're going to sudden death overtime. And so far, the offense has been all Wings. Sam has really not done much since that opening graveyard.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of cheap bait cards here in response for Wings, whether it's the Goblin Gang right on top of the tower, the Spear Goblins low, the Bats high, or just the Zap plus Dark Prince like we saw in the first time that Sam pulled down the graveyard.
Well, it's hard for Sam to stack up defense because, you know, your big DPS is the Inferno Dragon and the Archers, but you put those two together on defense, and as we saw a moment ago, that's a lot of Fireball value.
So here we go. Spear Goblins high, Goblin Gang low, Prince on top of the tower. But those skeletons are getting tanked for, so Zap has to come down, and a decent amount of damage comes in for Sam.
And there you go. Fireball to make room for that Prince. Skeletons come high. Zap not able to predict those, so good job by Sam to set the line here against Wings, who is second all-time in Grand Challenge wins. Last count I saw was 538, but I don't know if he's added a few more since then.
You know, and the other thing about those skeletons that Sam has is he's been using them so great every single time to soak up the charge from this Prince because he knows that the Zap needs to be preserved by his opponent to defend against graveyards.
Valk high, some Fireball value there behind the Valkyrie, and there you go again. Fireball on the Inferno Dragon and the Archers. Full-on Graveyard Poison push the opposite direction. A bit of a foot race here. Those bats are being tanked for by the Goblin Giant. That's a ton amount of damage.
I mean, that's exactly what we were talking about yesterday. Now the Goblin's going to go right on through. Wings is going to continue doing what he does in King of the Hill, and that is why you said it yesterday. A lot of pros out.
Wings with the advantage, up one here against OP Sam. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about this overall matchup, Andrew. You talk about those 4 King of the Hill wins. 3 of those came in a King of the Hill sweep over SK Gaming this season.
Yes, sir, it sure did. Sam, Javi, and Morton fell in that order. What is this? They've got a Goblin Barrel and a Skeleton Barrel and a...
Yeah, I don't know.
What on earth?
This is crazy. Miner running with this really strong defensive combination of the Goblin Cage and the Royal Delivery, and there was a minute there where this was the defensive combo in the game.
Yeah.
These two just locking things down. We haven't seen as much of it lately, but it still is very powerful.
Wings there does a great job of recognizing that he's going to have to spend just a little bit more than he'd like, and now he's going to turn that push into some offense because of that Skeleton Barrel.
And this deck does have a good number of options here for Sam in terms of playing defense. You can play the log on the Goblin Barrel. The delivery can be played on the Skeleton Barrel. It can be played high or in response to it when it drops. Not to mention the cage for pulls. On the other side of it, lots of ways to catch the Miner here for Wings.
Yeah, these are 2 very, very interesting cheap decks here, and I'm excited to see how they fare against one another. Great job there.
So throwing the Miner to the opposite tower. Look at that, making that Knight take a long walk.
Yeah, and again, you know, Wings spending a lot on these defenses, but able to turn them into substantial counter pushes that make Sam have to spend just a little bit more elixir than he'd like, and not in turn be able to get as much offense created.
Magic Archer for Sam as the last piece of this Miner Skeleton Barrel deck. You see it doing some cleanup duty there for Sam on the right-hand side as we enter into double elixir. Things pretty close. a little more than 200 HP advantage for Wings.
So maybe a hair early there on that Royal Delivery, not able to clean up the bats as well. So bats going to get tanked for, or going to tank for those Spear Goblins, and a High Knight comes in, and that'll just happen on the right side of the board, even though Wings was trying to shift it a little bit to the other side.
That Magic Archer did so well there. A little protection there from the bats, and then Magic Archer gets both the Knight and the Dart Goblin off. Stabs do come in a bit on the right-hand side, but Sam now taking the lead, 1407 to 1484 as we get closer to sudden
Yeah,
death.
this is neck and neck. It's brilliant Magic Archer play here by Sam, which is going to be the deciding factor. It's going to be all about protecting his Magic Archer because there's no big spell in his opponent's hand, and of course making sure he keeps getting that miner in varied spots on the tower.
The delivery's been doing some good cleanup duty at the bridge here for Wings, but struggling a little bit as we get deeper into this game.
Yeah, wondering if that those bats were actually necessary because the Skeleton Barrel was already going to tank for that Inferno. Maybe felt like the bats was a waste of 2 elixir there from Sam.
Skelly split way ahead of the miner from Wings, cleans that up, so no connections there. Now a bit of a counter push, but do keep in mind that right now Sam has a pretty significant elixir advantage as we approach the final 90 seconds.
Yeah, not a blow has been landed in about the last 30 here, so miner goes into the inside, is going to get on top of tower, and now we see Knight plus Dark Goblin, probably going to see a barrel as well. No, we do not.
Delivery high, keeping it pretty well taken care of, and delivery opposite direction. Log not available there for Sam, or maybe deciding to use it for something else, so does take some damage.
And that delivery was just a second late crossing the river, not able to tank for the Goblins, but then because of that was able to get 1 stab in on the tower with his lance.
Oh, you see what Sam was going for there, trying to get some geometry and get those Magic Archer shots on the tower, but 1 tile off, does not get any damage. Still in the lead here against this Inferno tower for Wings.
Yeah, and a really, really nice pickup there by Wings. Knight to the back of the tower to pick up that miner. Dark Goblin played too high too early. Magic Archer stays alive, cleans it off the board. A little bit of trouble here for Wings.
Final 34 seconds. Miner into the back again. Skeleton's way ahead. This time log and cycle for Sam. Sam is ahead here, 766 to 1185, 25 seconds left.
Bat gets on tower, couple bites in, and that does feel like that could be the sealing factor here. Sam able to get that miner on tower, Wings not able to get anything on tower, and that's been the big, big problem here.
These miners are huge. 2 Magic Archers at the bridge right now. Is log back and cycle for Sam so far. Been some good outcycling by Wings. 888, final 3 seconds here. That's going to be it. OP Sam ties things up at 1-1. Great performance. Kind of begun to really put himself back on the map as a head-to-head player, including a first-place finish on ladder in 2 seasons ago, not to mention winning the Red Bull MEO 2, or getting second place in Red Bull MEO 2 for Germany, and a guy who's really focused on 2v2 for a while. It's nice to see him finally getting his head-to-head shine in Clash Royale.
Yeah, it was interesting when Sam did get to the top of ladder. I wasn't surprised, but I was very surprised. Does that make sense? It wasn't because it was like, oh wow, Sam could do that. It was just that he actually took the time to do it in a season during what was probably practice time for CRL.
Yeah, I mean, that's always impressive when someone's like, I'm going to be great in CRL and also push ladder and go through the stress of trying to get number 1 there.
Sometimes you see that and you're just like, they must have 30 hours in a day. I just don't get it.
So RG in both directions, very similar looks here, although it's going to be the Musketeer and Minions for Wings and some different spells, versus Sam going with probably the most popular Royal Giant deck in the game right now.
You know, one thing I will say about kind of missing this Royal Giant meta, and by the way, a beautiful RG, aggressive RG there played by Wings to get some more damage on the tower. I really miss those bridge battles with the Fishermen and the Skeletons and the Royal Giant. I love that little game of chess that happens every single time a Royal Giant is dropped.
Well, we'll get some very interesting bridge battles here, especially with the Fishermen being part of the mix as we go into double elixir time. Wings is ahead by a little over 600 HP in the left-hand lane. This will be curious, Andrew, as we go deeper into this one, because the closer we get to triple elixir and potential spell cycle range, the more the factor comes in that Sam is playing the faster deck. He's playing the bats instead of the minions, and How much of a factor might that play at the end? Well, not much if this Royal Giant takes that left-hand tower.
Yeah, we got it. I mean, I'm hoping it was around 50 seconds in the booth. A beautiful, beautiful offense put together by Wings there. He drops the Royal Giant in front of the Musketeer, and then he drops the Knight almost instantaneous to get pulled across the bridge by the Fisherman, tank for that Royal Giant, and tower down. And that's exactly what you expect out of this Misfits player.
And Sam chooses to go to the right-hand lane rather than the left. What will he do to stop the Fisherman? There's going to be no Fisherman pull. Will this RG be able to do enough? I don't know.
No.
Getting one shot, getting two shots, that's going to be a GG. Well played. Wings gets the big win and evens things up for Misfits.
I mean, that is one of the most classic plays by a pro is, I'm going to do the same interaction. I couldn't agree with you more. We've seen it time and time again in professional sports where you put together a dream team roster and the chemistry is just not there. So here we go in our second 1v1 set. Javi 14, top of your screen for SK Gaming. Air Surfer, the man we were just speaking about, at the bottom.
Javi, lifetime win rate in head-to-head play of 62%. More games played than pretty much anybody. 58 wins overall in head-to-head competition here at CRL.
Yeah, him and LCOP kind of take those two titles in the East and the West, I believe.
So we have not seen a ton of emoting in the opening moments of these games so far. Maybe a little bit more at the end when someone wants to throw some shade. But Airser and Javi both having a little fun here to open things up.
So calling the good luck out, recognizing they're most likely playing something very, very similar here. Good luck in return from Air Surfer and a great match ahead of us.
And a nice Fisherman from Air Surfer there to pull the Musketeer across into those two barbs and get her out of play.
And I like that cycle on the right-hand side. Full Elixir bar, doesn't know what to do really, has to play one more card to get back to his bar putt. What does he do? Bar barrel on the right, gets 2 hits.
Aggressive GY Skeleton Dragons on the right-hand side. Baby Dragon, though, defending fairly well here. It does force the Mega Minion out to clean up those last few skellies.
Yeah, Baby Dragon, Mega Minion, and Skeletons all played in defense on that graveyard. Leaves him a few Elixir behind, but he does have that Barb Hut still on the board, which Javi does not.
Musketeer cycles left-hand lane for Javi one more time. We'll see how Air Surfer intends to get it out of play, and Fisherman cycle near the back of the tower this time.
Well, they're back, my friend. The Huts are back.
Yeah, they're certainly back, and you know it's very interesting to see them get into the mix. And those barbs spawned on death of the barb hut. That's a big part of why they're so valuable right now.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering if the idea is that the Fisherman is going to actually, your opponent's Fisherman is actually going to help you get a tank in front of your Musketeer even after your initial tank has died, right? Because your Musketeer is going to stay back and shoot. Those barbs coming across the river are going to get pulled by the Fisherman to maybe add a little bit more tankage.
Final 25 seconds of regulation time, and Air Surfer just setting up barb huts behind both towers for potential help on defense against the graveyards, but how does he win this bridge battle?
Yeah, these bridge battles have been really, really tough to win. RG out on the right side for Air Surfer finally comes down. Musketeer here are going to help with those skeletons, but definitely a few shots to land.
That's a solid chunk of damage on the right-hand side, Andrew. 1454, and not that far behind the damage coming in on his left-hand lane.
Yeah, the patience there by Air Surfer to hold his 7th and 8th card for as long as he has. Finally gets that RG down.
Skelly's all he needs on the right-hand side for Air Surfer to take care of the Musketeer, playing defense against the graveyard. Javi now starting to put some pressure at the bridge. A nice Musketeer to open something up. Does he get one more tank in front of that Musketeer, or let her contend on her own?
Go Skeletons in the way. Barn Barrel going to get on top of the Muskie.
Javi cycling poison on the left-hand side. Air Surfer starting to get in a bit of trouble here.
Yeah, only
final minute 20 coming.
Yeah, with 80 seconds remaining, about behind by 700 HP, feels like a tough spot for Air Surfer. However, that one RG push did all that damage on the right-hand side.
Muskie played high to the inside. Fisherman will get the Muskie away, so this is a big chance now for Air Surfer. Not going to be a graveyard push on the left-hand side. Does he double down? And yes, he does. RG to the right.
So Poison's going to come down And a lot of defensive units dropped here at the river, going to stop 100% of that damage from the Royal Giant. But a bridge battle is to be won here on both sides of the map for Javi.
And there you go, Fisherman again, but the Barb Hut protecting that Musketeer this time around. Baby Dragon trying to help, but the delivery cleaning things up. 1454 right-hand side. Javi declaring good game. No way, in his opinion, for Air Surfer to come back in this one. Going to go ahead and put the pressure on the left-hand side.
So here we go. Fisherman up high. Actually going to get to the Musketeer again. Skeletons come down a second late, but with only 20 seconds remaining, Javi knows that his opponent has to play a Royal Giant and get on tower and completely stop the defensive elixir from Javi to drop that poison.
High Barb Hut here. Cleans that one up. Javi firmly in control and plays a Graveyard that will force out a response. No time to go the opposite direction. Javi Gatorze takes game number 1 of our set.
And I had a feeling that it was going to be the Lightning as the last card, not wanting to play that on Barb Huts, not going to clean it off the board and spending so much elixir. And that was just a matchup there for Air Surfer where he was kind of caught.
Here we go, game number 2, and that's Air Surfer's signature emote, by the way, the Golden Celebration Pig.
I did not know that.
That's the one we've seen him spam like crazy. An easy high Mega Knight to say bye-bye to the Magic Archer.
So Magic Archer, Ice Golem, and Bats. Maybe seeing some Hogs.
Air Surfer just cycling that log on the left-hand side.
And
it's Hog. We have not seen much Hog Rider in head-to-head play.
Oh, and Javi goes with the Lightning on the left-hand side, and he says oops immediately, and that is going to be a pretty big oops. Lumberjack going to go right on through. Royal Giant going to get raged up. That is going to be a painful mistake for Javi to recover from.
Yeah, Log Mini P.E.K.K.A. will save the tower, but a ton of damage. And
wow,
look what we're looking at here, Andrew. From Air Surfer, we're seeing a sort of a variation on what was a very popular version of Royal Giant. You know, Royal Giant, Lumberjack, Baby Dragon, Mega Minion. You know, this used to run Furnace back in the day. And then on the other side of it, something you did not expect to see in competitive, Hog Lightning.
Yeah, and a very interesting Hog Lightning deck here from Javi, and definitely not one I expected to see him play today. And, you know, it's kind of a bummer that the beginning of it started off so rough with that misplayed Lightning, so we might not be able to see this deck's true power. But if anyone can turn things around, it's the man at the top of the screen.
So keep an eye on that combination of the Mini P.E.K.K.A. and Fisherman together. You know, not as many ground targets to pull and pop as you might like with this sort of combination, but might be using that to retarget Royal Giants and get them off the board.
So no Brawler in play. Fisherman going to have to be played to stop this Lumberjack, and now with the Fisherman out of cycle, you wonder if Air Surfer is going to take advantage of that on the right-hand side.
Air Surfer playing the cage a little bit early here, as opposed to waiting to pull the Hog Rider. And there is a cage positioning, by the way, if you don't know, where you can completely counter a Hog Rider with just a Goblin cage. But that Hog Rider has to be solo. You can't be playing it. It can't have support, or else it's not get the full counter most of the time.
Yeah, and that was one of the nice things about that little increase in damage from the Goblin Brawler, is that it was able to completely mitigate a Hog Rider.
There you go. So you see Air Surfer going for the idea, cage right into that same lane, but there's the idea with the Lightning, gets the Brawler off. That's a big connection.
Hog gets hit. Fisherman is on the tower. Mini P.E.K.K.A. being played up high here. Log comes in just in time, but RG still gets one big shot in. Air Surfer only having Log and Fireball, going to have to do a little bit more work.
465 to 877. Javi now, maybe trying to out-cycle, does get the Hog Rider down. Cage pulls all the way to the middle with Skellies to defend. Lightning trying to make room. Does the Hog get a hit? It does not. Fireball in. But Log cycle to the left, meaning that's not going to be available on the right-hand side for this spell cycle to finish. So Javi now with an opportunity, just loading up on the left-hand side, trying to find a way on tower. Mini P.E.K.K.A. ahead. Can this Hog get the tower in time to beat out the spell cycle?
I think so. That Mini P.E.K.K.A. was played very well. Fireball comes down. That Fireball coming down, just like the Log in the last sequence, allows Javi to have just a little bit more life. He's going to take a good amount of damage here. He's going to try to go back on offense as soon as humanly possible. There's the Log, now just waiting for the Fireball. Air Surfer should be getting there just in time.
Log trying to make enough room.
Fireball's in! Hog's in!
Enough? No, it's not!
Here in Game 3. Hopefully Javi doesn't have any slippery fingers. I don't even know what to call it when you misplay a card anymore.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Just a brain moment, and is Javi just going right back to it here? Opens up Hog.
Yeah, maybe really liked what he had in that last game, and probably talking about the exact same things that you and I just did. If I didn't play that Lightning, I would have won that.
So there you go, 1450 left-hand side, courtesy of the log. Nice counter there from Air Surfer for the Hog Rider. Splits Archers in the back.
Archers, Goblin Cage, and Poison. Maybe going for Graveyard once again.
Certainly has that feeling. Bat split in the back for Javi.
And nice play there. Hog Rider turns that Archer around, keeps that bat alive, allows it to help with this Inferno and Skellies. Doesn't get a lot out of it, but it is just a really nice small interaction for people to take note.
Magic Archer will stop most of the burn from that Inferno Dragon. Poison will get some value on Air Surfer's side. First minute and 15 away, and just a slight lead by Air Surfers, currently turned around by that log.
Yep, just spell cycling here and there. Javi feeling out his opponent, already looking at the responses his opponent has. Going to have to be worried about those skeletons catching his mini P.E.K.K.A. and of course has to deal with that Goblin Cage.
Air Surfer is a very talented ladder player, personal best of 84-87. But a big calling card would be the initiation of the global tournament, where he got first place 3 times as being one of the best Expo players on the planet. And before they changed the matchmaking, putting up over 100 wins in the global tournament, I believe more than once.
Yeah, I remember looking at those numbers and I thought my game was broken. But nope, Air Surfer took advantage of that matchmaking and just put hundreds of wins under his belt in those first couple global tourneys.
So bats to stop any extra burn from that Inferno Dragon, now counter, and high Goblin Cage to pull that Hog to the middle.
And bats getting tanked for by the Hog. Archer retargets, 1 bat bite does come in, and 1 Hog swing as well. So Javi goes, I'm back to the deck for a reason, and it is really paying off right now.
Bats on defense, Snowball misses 1 bat, and Magic Archer in the back against this Graveyard. So well defended here by Javi, who now has a decent amount on the board in the final 30 seconds of regulation and a nearly 1,000 HP lead in the right-hand lane.
You know, and that 1 bat really earned his money. He cleaned up at least a handful of skeletons, ended up coming across the board, so it was a very, very slight misplay by Air Surfer, but those are the type of things you cannot do when playing against someone like Javi.
Graveyard into the right-hand lane, being tanked for by the Inferno Dragon. Magic Archer, though, does turn out to help, and Hog Rider cycle to the right. No great response. No, the cage does get down with the skeletons just in time for Air Surfer.
Magic Archer going to demand a response here as well.
And Javi just loading up. Should be back to the Hog here in just 1 moment. Goes mini P.E.K.K.A. in front of the Magic Archer. And look at this. This is going to be very difficult for Air Surfer to deal with.
That is trouble right there. Goblin Cage does come in time, but mini P.E.K.K.A. is still tanking for the Hog Rider. Hog Rider 100% healthy and will get a big swing in, and the Magic Archer needs to be dealt with.
Magic Archer down 1 more time for Javi, and he's just cycling very, very aggressively. Not playing much in the way of Fisherman right now. Knows the sequence he needs. Gets the Hog down. Snowball trying to push back a little bit. Log for a bit of chip here, and that Magic Archer, no, the high cage turns the Magic Archer, but the Valkyrie lines it up. That's going to be 177 right-hand side. Javi calls a GG here with 1:10 left.
Yeah, that Magic Archer retargeting on the Valkyrie. The Ice Golem had the right idea, or excuse me, I believe, was it the Brawler? Something got in the way first. S tier, along with the man standing across from him, maybe S+ in Morton, 2 guys that are 2v2 stars, but also head-to-head phenoms. Here we go. Everything on the line in this matchup. SK going up against Misfits.
Here we go. Miner to the right-hand side, caught fairly easily by the Hunter. And then Morton gets the Goblin Cage down as well. Razor responds in kind.
And Razor doesn't really feel like a guy who, over the years, that pressure has been a deciding factor in his games. Yes, he's human. Yes, he feels pressure, but he isn't a guy that it feels like, in high-pressure situation, makes many mistakes.
No, and people kind of forget about some of those high-pressure situations he was put in his rookie season. Talk about those 4 career King of the Hill sweeps. Well, 2 of those came right at the front end of CRL NA, where he came out big for complexity and earned that nickname, the King Killer, getting massive sweeps to open things up.
This is a lot of Elixir down on the board here for Razor. Mega Knight and Fisherman on the other side of the board. Graveyard comes in.
Gonna have to respond to this Musketeer in some way.
Yeah.
Miner goes to the outside. Cage will stop the Muskie from doing too much damage, so a pretty big spend, although that Brawler going backwards, not necessarily what Razor wanted. Musketeer connects, and that's a healthy Muskie and a ton of damage for Morton.
Yeah, one extra step by that Goblin Brawler made it so that sequence actually, that interaction totally went in Morton's favor, and you can't imagine what the last card is in his deck. It's most likely going to be the Loon. So if you look at the responses here from Razor, the Hunter, the Snowball, and the Goblin Cage, it will be somewhat difficult for Morton to break through, but we've seen Morton win bad matchups in the past. We've seen Morton do the unthinkable in the past, including even just yesterday.
Well, I don't know if we'll get a chance to look at it on the back end, but it's interesting with that Brawler going backwards. I think that might have happened because, or might have given the Musketeer the angle on the tower because that Miner might have been played one tile low from the safe spot, which actually pulled the Brawler all the way out of range for the Musketeer to retarget on tower. Not entirely sure about that one. And an E-Wiz as well. So a big opening lead for Morton, but we'll see if he can maintain and add to it with this a lot of defense against balloons.
Yeah, and you know, Razor there, you see, having to still play that Snowball. So in spite of having all of the defensive responses, still having to overspend a little bit more than he'd like.
Hunter high against the balloon on the right-hand side. That'll be sufficient to stop this one. And you see Razor able to cycle this is nice for him, cycle the Fisherman behind King Tower, because he's not worried about pulling any troop in with that Fisherman.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You know, you talk about that Hunter, that's going to be his favorite way to interact with the balloon coming across the river, is that high Hunter for the positive trade and for the easy cleanup. And just like that, Razor is going to take game number 1 here off of Morton.
So a big opening error opens the door for Morton, or for Morton, and then
over SK's Morton.
You know, if I'm Razor, I go with some sort of triple spell in this situation. And you see Morton is running something with Skeleton Barrel, whether it's double bait, whether it's minor Skelly Barrel, who knows. But considering how much he's gone in this direction, you know, I don't know if that's where Razor's going now, seeing the bats and the Ice Golem and the Miner, but that would have been my take.
So here we go. Morton running, like you said, minor Skelly Barrel bait. Bottom of your screen, Razor showing 3 cards so far that should be able to contend pretty well with what his opponent has.
And here we go, Balloon opposite direction, so this might be the giant skeleton version of Minor Loon with that Fisherman in there. And the Fisherman does not quite pull the Inferno Tower aggro for that balloon, so that whole push dies on the Vine.
Yeah, both these guys just kind of reset back of your map here.
Miner goes right into that Dark Goblin, making some room for the Hunter to try to get on tower, forces bats out.
And that's something that we saw yesterday from Morton. It is very, very difficult to distract him enough to not protect his highest DPS units. And that's something we saw yesterday happen time and time again, was the preservation of his Dark Goblin.
Reaching the midway point of regulation time, Morton had the lead until that snap. Just a little bit of an advantage for Razor in the left-hand lane. High bats will stop most of that damage on the right-hand side.
Yeah, a little bit of Larry damage comes in, and Bat's still alive. Dark Goblin played in the perfect position at the perfect time to focus on the bats and then the Miner, not the other way around.
Here we go, double elixir time, no one with a distinctive advantage. Razor setting up in the right-hand lane, Balloon behind the Ice Golem.
And this is going to be very interesting. You see that Skeleton Barrel being played on the left-hand side. The reason for that is because Morton wants to make sure that just a little bit is being demanded out of Razor. Maybe even it was going to be the Snowball. Razor does the correct thing, holds it, allows that balloon to get some death damage.
So you see the idea with the Fisherman here, Andrew, on that last sequence, the Fisherman and Bats both getting in and taking some of that Inferno Tower aggro. We'll see how many times Razor can pull that one off. Currently in the lead, 1758 to 1893. 20 seconds left till sudden death overtime.
This deck just cycles so insanely quickly. Probably going to see it high Ice Golem. There it is, high Ice Golem with the Royal Delivery. Miner goes to the back, and now probably going to have to snowball this Skelly Barrel.
With that, Morton back in the lead.
Yeah, Morton just chipping away. Both these guys living at full elixir until they sell out on pushes, making the defenses very, very easy and making breaking through very difficult.
And that's a nice block with the skeleton barrel from Morton there on those bats, making sure they do not keep taking for that balloon and give a lot of damage. So defensive Skelly Barrel works brilliantly for the German.
And a snowball comes in just in the nick of time to keep that Dark Goblin off the tower as the second Fisherman was played just a little bit low. Really, really nice awareness there by Razor. Minor damage starting to add up on the top right-hand side of your screen.
And you see, again, the same idea with that defensive Skelly Barrel. So Morton just wants to make sure he does not get balloon connections or death damage on that right-hand side and try to chip away in the opposite lane if he can.
And there he goes. Swerve to the left lane. Bats up high. Going to catch the Inferno Tower aggro, as is the Ice Golem and the Fisherman. Miner goes to the back on top of the Dark Goblin. That is a great sequence by Razor. How is Morton going to stop this?
He's not. GG. Well played. Razor figures out the match.
No problem. Other side of it, maybe this is exactly what you're talking about, Rich, with Sergio Ramos leading things off, Javi in the middle spot, and Morton closing things out.
Let's go ahead and jump into game number 1, King of the Hill. Win, you stay on. Lose, you go back to the bench. Sergio Ramos and Wings kicking things off.
Yeah, and, you know, King of the Hill, it's weird. And by Morton, so let's hope that one of their tour individuals or representatives can pick up a win today.
Wings comes into today 67% on King of the Hill with 5 King of the Hill sweeps in CRL play. Sergio Ramos an even at 59% with 2 sweeps over his career.
It's so crazy to think that that means that he was, you know, essentially 15-0 in King of the Hill against CRL pros. Like, you know, if you kind of look at it sporadically, it's just crazy to think. I'd be happy to take 1 game off of a pro.
Yeah, right? It's absolutely insane. So here we go. Sergio Ramos with the bar putt muskie, so feeling like it's going to be going in that graveyard direction.
Yep. Bottom of your screen, maybe Ram Rider. There it is.
In delivery, Skeletons in response. Do they give up a hit? And they do. Shout out Night Owl to your favorite win condition.
Yeah, Ram Rider just always a nuisance, and definitely a card that I think is so cool that it hasn't really been changed too much, and it's never really fallen or dominated at the meta. Fallen out of or dominated.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of it at one point, but it was never really a deck where you were like, oh, well, there's nothing to do about it. It was just there a whole bunch.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It was just there because there was that, of course, the Stinky Cheese Jack for a while it just felt like it was impossible to do anything about. And that is a great recognition of knowing what is in and out of cycle. Lumberjack, Ram Rider straight on through. Sergio Ramos takes a big, big hit.
Yeah, low bar putt here. And look, we've seen this before from this deck. We've seen it today with RF doing it, going, okay, I'm going to sacrifice some damage early, but I know that this deck performs well later in the game. So goes behind early, does Sergio Ramos. The question is, as we get deeper in, can he stack bar putts and make this a living nightmare for Wings?
Yeah, that's really what he needs to do. He needs to turn things around in the sense of getting that elixir advantage in his favor. And you know, leaking elixir is not a great way to do it. But, you know, this Lumberjack plus push that runs into these bar putts, it's going to be really interesting to see how these kind of fare as the time goes on to double and triple elixir.
Is that Ram Rider still going to connect? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Way. A beautiful heal spirit in conjunction with that rage, and I don't know how that happened.
I mean, that Ram Rider was stuck. You play a bar putt on a Ram Rider, and you have 2 bar putts down, a bunch of other barbs, maybe even a Mystic Spell to stop it. Who knows? But still, the Ram Rider, she just touches towers.
Yeah, and she got the charge up again, even to add just a little bit of insult to injury. And look at that lineup there. The Fireball pushes that Musketeer in range of the Knight. Who knows if that was planned or not, but it sure looked pretty.
Just trying to put some real heat on the opposite side is Sergio Ramos, but this Ram Rider is just maniacal in its surge towards that tower. Delivery high, trying to hold on here. Is there anything to stop this Ram Rider right now? She is raged up, going right through GG.
Who took his in this second game at King of the Hill.
And here you go, the only other man in CRL West to have 5 total King of the Hill sweeps. The 2 best sweepers in the game, Javi Catorze and Wings.
So looking very, very defensive at the bottom of our screen.
Very defensive.
Very defensive.
We'll see what direction Wings is going with. Nope, so it's not going to be the Ice Bow or Ice Rock, depending on what you want to call it.
Goblin Barrel goes to the side, Bar Barrel there to meet, knows that NATO could be back in cycle, does not want to allow that King Tower activation to come in because that will give him a severe disadvantage as he moves through this game against Wings.
So this should be the same Graveyard deck that Morton clutched with in game number 5, King of the Hill, yesterday for Wings. We'll see how he fares. Of course, he does have the Tornado, the Cage, and the Bar Barrel for defense. We'll see if Javi takes advantage of that Bar Barrel, with that slightly, with a smaller range than the Log. You can put some inside and outside barrels to get that one extra stab from a Goblin.
And there's that interaction we were talking about once again, that very, very high poison. Dark Goblin steps into it after cleaning up a few of those skeletons on the back end. A little bit of damage comes in for for Wings, and him and Javi are very, very close here, separated by 10 HP.
So you saw Javi go outside with the Goblin Barrel on that time. Wings read it perfectly and put the Bar Barrel on the outside as well. As things get a little bit more hectic in double and or triple elixir, look for Javi to be alternating inside and outside and hoping a mistake gives him one extra Goblin stab on occasion.
Yeah, and I'm also curious to see how much we'll see the lane changes between these two guys. How many times we'll see the Bar Barrel plus Graveyard in one lane, how many times we'll see the switch Skelly Barrel plus Goblin Barrel from Javi in the opposite.
And Javi sets up Inferno Tower on the right-hand side in response to the Knight, and then goes again Goblin Barrel to the outside. And a nice NATO there from Wings.
Yeah, NATO pulls everything back. Still takes a few hundred damage there to give Javi actually a pretty nice lead. Just a couple hundred HP, nothing big. Easy to make up with Graveyard.
Cage gets the pull on the Skeleton Barrel here. And a second Inferno Tower down from Javi.
Yeah, this is kind of that thing that we're talking about, not allowing your opponent to create a lot of dual lane pressure, making them play in the lane that you want them to. There's that high poison again on top of the Dark Goblin. Poison comes in late, gets it off the board, but those skeletons do get some decent damage in, and that Baby Dragon is splashing on the tower.
That's a huge Baby Dragon. Tons of tankage, and Javi now in a big hole playing bait against Graveyard.
Yeah, this feels basically impossible to come back from. Wings has been all over it with the barrels, been playing very well with the splash troops, and that was an excellently executed Graveyard.
Trying to pressure on the right-hand side is Javi Catorze, but what can he do? Knight goes across, has plenty to set the line up top, has to play some defense here. Log and Dark Goblin poison, though. We'll add a little bit more here for Wings.
Yeah, now just going to be this cycle game. Just got to get back around one more time. Poison will take it off the board. Javi calls it a good game, and just like that, we are back in the same situation we were in yesterday, Rich, with SK Gaming facing elimination and Morton in a spot to where he has to go 1, 2, 3 King of the Hill sweep to keep SK alive.
And Javi goes with the NATO damage, or Wings goes with the NATO damage on the right-hand side. Poison to finish it off. GG, well played. Wings now, one away from one more time.
Yeah, and it just felt like a moment ago that Razor was playing for the life of Misfits in that fourth 1v1 set. And just like that, Morton back against the wall again.
Wings cycling Magic Archer to the left. Get some good poison value there from Morton. Maybe going back to Ram Rider again here.
Looking like it. Morton rocking the Firecracker. Fascinating.
Have not seen much of her since the slight reduction in range, but still does just the same amount of damage and can be very frustrating nonetheless.
Yeah, it is crazy how that reduction in knockback range was as effective as it was, but, we talked about it, being able to kite so much elixir away. Look at that. RG comes down just in the nick of time, and both these guys selling out offensively.
Yeah, Ram Rider going to go into that Goblin Cage, but Cage Delivery going to be a very good combination here against the Ram Rider, and not to mention the drop from on high from that delivery for those Inferno Dragons. So
that was a
good choice here from Morton.
I was going to say, sorry, that was a brilliant Heal Spirit to come in and give a little bit more life to that Brawler. He backs it up with some bats. Wings stops it in its tracks, but I really liked what Morton was going for there.
Two really nasty tank killers here in Wing's hand, though. The Inferno Dragon and the Lumberjack can both totally melt the RG, so it's going to be a question of trying to time that RG well to not get trapped in space by the Ram Rider and then not get burned down by one of those two.
Yeah, and let's talk about the layers of defense there for Wings. If he's able to get that Lumberjack up top and then the Ram Rider directly behind it, not only is his Ram Rider going to maybe get raged up, but it also slows that Royal Giant again. So a lot of great responses.
Oh.
Ooh, and that...
Morton misses the poison on the Magic Archer.
That hurts.
And here you go. Lumberjack in, Heal Spirit to pull, delivery, maybe Cage behind delivery. There you go. Nice, great sequence there from Morton to mitigate that damage.
Yeah, what a recovery. And somehow that Ram Rider does not get a shot in. The only thing that Morton suffers is just a little bit of piercing damage from that Magic Archer. And once again, that's why he's S+ tier, is those mistakes that he can recover from so gracefully.
That missed poison, though, has put him pretty significantly behind in Elixir, so going to be very difficult. Going to have to make a few positive trades to try to stay in this one from an Elixir perspective. And that's a good start here, but still behind when you can see how much Wings has on the board.
Yeah, very, very healthy units on the board. Now going to need to drop in those Skellies and something else. There we go, Skellies plus Royal Delivery.
You talk about getting the difficulty of getting to the Firecracker, but
wow,
same thing for Morton, having trouble with that Magic Archer.
And again, the Royal Delivery just coming through clutch right there. For a moment, it felt like Morton was about to get overwhelmed, and then look at that. He offsets the Heal Spirit a little to the right, looking for the Barb Barrel.
That's a brilliant Heal Spirit, and now Morton's pretty much back in terms of Elixir with those couple of sequences. Brilliant play by the German. He and Wings are putting on a battle
here. Yeah, this is just perfect mechanics, both sides of the board. And a big testament to that is look at the damage. We're barely separated by 130 HP, but also the most damage that's been done is 600 on one side of the map.
And notice as soon as he sees the Inferno Dragon to the left-hand side, he goes Royal Giant to the right. But that's the nasty combination, right? So you see that even though Inferno Dragon out of cycle, he Wings defends with the Ram Rider Lumberjack combo and doesn't even whiff a little bit of damage from that Royal Giant on the right-hand side.
And he gets offensive pressure, right? Like, that's just an incredible thing about this deck, and those cards used correctly together, is that you really get a strong counter push. And look at that.
Bandit dashes in.
Ram Rider takes...
And the Lumberjack goes right to tower.
Oh my gosh. Both sides of the map. Morton getting a little bit overwhelmed right now. Wings fighting for his life to close things out against SK. Oh, that's huge!
And the delivery... 670 left-hand side. Magic Archer gets a little more piercing damage here. RG has to tank on the defensive side of the board. Everything going right for Wings right now. A tough spot for Morton with his whole season on the line.
Morton going back on the offensive. That Barb Barrel comes in and cleans up almost everything. Heal Spirit just in time. 2 RGs down. Goblin Cage, you know, is in cycle. No, it's not!